Quentin Tarantino. He was talking about Marvel. Let me see here. He's talking about him and Simu Liu.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Simu Liu.
Simu Liu.
Yeah.
Plays Shang-Chi in
yeah.
Marvel.
It kind of, well, I ain't going to say it going at it. He's just having a rebuttal to Quentin Tarantino. Simu Liu is speaking up after director Quentin Tarantino criticized the Marvelization of Hollywood, saying on a podcast that those who became famous through the superhero franchise are not real movie stars. Liu, who gained global notoriety for his titular role in the Marvel Cinematic Universe's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, pushed back on this, saying white directors like Quentin Tarantino shouldn't have the only say in who becomes famous. The only gatekeepers to movie stardom came from Tarantino and Scorsese. I would never have had the opportunity to lead a $400 million plus movie. That's what he tweeted out there. Yeah. I am in awe of their filmmaking genius. They are transcendent auteurs, but they don't get to point their nose at me or anyone. The actors also said Tarantino's golden age of cinema was white as hell. You know something? I'm going to say this. And we jumped on this because of Avatar being spectacle. And we're talking about how the quality of the film is going to be story-wise. Quentin Tarantino, I could criticize for a lot of things. And I'm not one to come in and actually just try to say you can only have one over the other. They both have a point. I'm going to say that, though. Marvel has definitely come in and given more opportunities to a more diverse group of actors than probably anybody else out there. And I've always said this when these people come in and criticize. They've given, and not just opportunity to these actors. I'm talking about big opportunities. Hence Black Panther. But Quentin Tarantino ain't lying. I think he's right. It's like, because I've said this. I've said that there are people who become synonymous with these characters, and these people, they're great actors, and people recognize the actors' names now. But those characters are bigger than the actors now, I think.
Of course they are.
Because, like Chris Hemsworth is talking about, I might be giving up Thor pretty soon.
Yeah.
You think Thor going to die because Chris Hemsworth just stopped? You know, Thor's going to come around in some other incarnation.
Sure.
They're going to keep Spider-Man going.
And that's why they're setting things up in motion to when that eventually does happen.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah. Quentin Tarantino, I could criticize him a lot, but he's not really exactly wrong about the domination of superhero movies. I like superhero movies, but they are kind of calling the shots. Some things for good, some things for worse. And they are movies that they're bigger than the actors that are in them.
Of course.
They're huge franchise movies.
I feel like for most of history, the characters that an actor plays is bigger than them, personally. I feel like that is. Like this whole thing that he talks about, movie star. Who is a movie star nowadays?
Yeah.
Is anyone a movie star? But
Tom Cruise?
I mean, I guess so. But
and he only is big right now because he's making big old-fashioned blockbusters.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, and that's the big reason. And so, like, I feel like he is speaking from like from a point of profound ignorance, and which is not surprising because Quentin Tarantino. Not that he hasn't made amazing movies, he absolutely has, but it's just because there was another aspect to his criticism that I just fundamentally disagree with. I think it's ridiculous. He says that we are living in the worst period of filmmaking or just movies since, he said, the 80s and the 50s. And he's just like, so the fact that you would say, like, oh, the 50s, so that was like a horrible period of filmmaking. So we're just ignoring everything Alfred Hitchcock did, everything Don Siegel did, all those great films in the 50s. And he says, like, the 80s. So, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Aliens, John Carpenter's The Thing, all these other films, all shit, really. It's like, that's ridiculous. The fact that he's just, like, saying, like, these movies are all bad, that time period is all bad, and you just, like, he's painting this large swath of film history, of genres. Like, well, the thing is, he doesn't like those movies. Fundamentally say it's an objective fact that the 1950s, the 80s, and I guess was that the 2010s and into this period is ridiculous. No, that is a profoundly ignorant and frankly stupid statement to make. Just because, you just don't like those kind of movies. That's what it comes down to.
And I don't think he was saying it's a fact. I think he was saying, in my opinion.
I don't know. I feel like that's exactly what he was saying.
Yeah,
I felt,
I read what he said. I don't think that he's saying. Now, I think he exaggerates, but I do understand what he's saying. You know, there's these movies that came out that were mainstream during the 70s. You know, and you can even go back to like, you know, decades before. And I don't think he was saying that the decades before were bad, but like the 70s was a period where there was at least a balance of dramas, mature entertainment coming out. You know, it just wasn't, theaters weren't just dominated by spectacle movies. It's not the same period now.
I feel like I could use his logic and apply that to any decade of cinema. I could say that for 1970s, the one where every other movie was about counterculture. It was the same thing over and over and over again, exploring these.
No, 70s were a different period.
No. I mean, but you think of like a lot of the movies from the 1970s, the counterculture films that we started exploring unlikable people.
You know, this is a corporate machine that's controlling the, you know, most of the distribution of movies that we see right now. Most of the films that we see are superhero movies. Most of the movies that we see are big budget films. It's not like before where there was, you know, you actually had, as I said, you had movies that were more mature entertainment. You had movies that were dramas. You had movies that, you know, were historical pieces. I mean, in other words, it wasn't based on just blockbuster driven material. It wasn't based on blockbuster driven profit. You know, when the 80s came out, a lot of the movies that you mentioned, they are the movies that contributed to like a lot of blockbuster filmmaking. You know, Spielberg, you know, we all know about Spielberg and Lucas being a part of that. So yeah, I do think we've lost something. Not completely. Some of these people make it seem like cinema is just destroyed. They just don't have the distribution at the theater.
What Tarantino, even Scorsese can do is that they have to be more articulate with their criticism, because they're just painting things without considering a lot of things. They're going off the cuff.
That's the problem when people come in and make judgments like Martin Scorsese saying they're not cinema, or, you know, these movies are ruining, you know, the theaters and whatnot. I'm not extreme in my criticism, but I believe that there's a truth to what they're saying. Maybe they didn't say it in a way that, you know, pleases everybody.
Yeah.
But there is a truth to what they're saying. He said, and somebody asked him about the use of the N-word in his movies.
Right.
And he said, well, then my movie's enough for you, man. And you know what? He's right. If you don't like it, don't. Because I ain't saying he shouldn't use the word. He can use all he wants to. I just know, I don't mind him using the word. It's just that I thought he used it excessively in a way that made me uncomfortable in one film.
Sure.
Actually, a couple of films. And I
This
thought
is for shock value.
Yeah, and that's the way I felt.
Yeah.
I ain't saying that he's completely right. If I don't like it, I don't have to watch this movie.
Yeah,
you know,
it's true.
and I respect that. I respect that. I'm just saying, for me, I watched something that was uncomfortable, and I think that you should actually, you know, instead of saying, well, fuck you, if you don't like it, you know, don't watch it. I said, hey, man, you know, just understand that people might have legit criticism. You know, you might, instead of just telling people to fuck off, you might be like, well, hey, you know, maybe they have a point.
Something to consider.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, you know, those are his movies, not mine.
But Desolate Chris needs to read some books. What the fuck does that mean?
Why'd you say that?
What does that mean? What do you mean by that? I need to read some books.
Oh man, I saw that and I was trying to be like, oh, let's move along now. Oh shit.
Listen, we can. You know, this is the opinion that I have. That's Corey's opinion. I mean, I felt like we were pretty eloquent and articulate. And,
I wasn't trying to school you or talk down to you.
No, I didn't feel that way either. So let's say, like, I need to read some books. I need to pick up on my history. I'm like, but Desolate, shut the fuck up. If you're gonna just be rude and nasty in the chat to me, you know, just over something because you disagree with me. I mean, come on, get over yourself.
Man,
My lord!
I saw that. I was like, "Oh shit!" I was hoping it was gonna keep scrolling.
Yeah,
I was
that's ridiculous.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I mean, come on. If that's what's gonna set you off, because I have this opinion on film. I don't want to dismiss decades worth of entertainment because some filmmaker says it's not good. I need to read some books. Okay, all right, that's it. All right. Get over yourself.
Why you do this, man?
And then stop saying something that is so profoundly stupid in the chat. How about you do that? Anyway.
Shit. Well, there's a book for you.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'll read it to you. I don't think you're going to read it.
He threw that book at you, didn't he? Oh, shit. I was like, oh, hell.